Good evening. Hope you had a wonderful, productive Saturday in the Lord. I tell you, God is faithful, and we are praying for so many this evening. I had a chance to I've been parked here practically all day studying, and the window has been, open. And if I were counting, I probably heard 60 times, maybe 50, as far as emergency sirens. Mostly, ambulances. And in the morning, close to noon, I was like, okay, something's going on. This is strange. I mean, that many. And that's when I heard about the police officer shot by the fugitive. And supposedly they caught that young man who shot the 29-year-old woman in downtown area. We're praying for that police officer, and we're praying for all of these gunshot victims. We're praying for emergency workers and doctors and the nurses who are on strike at the university. Just so much in the medical community to remember this evening as I just listened. And the song that came to my heart, I heard tonight, Waymaker, yes, MiracleWorker, PromiseKeeper, light in the darkness, my God, our God, this is who He is. That is who you are. Who? Waymaker. He's a miracle worker, PromiseKeeper, light in the darkness, our God, my God, that is who you are. And we are in 1Kings8, and I don't know if you need some miracles tonight. I still have probably 15 hours worth of studying, and I only have maybe 10 more hours available. So there's a deficit. But how many know, even when we get to Proverbs 21, the first chapter, the first verse of chapter 21, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. So even those who might score my quiz or what have you, my assessment, Lord, you're in control. The heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, He turneth it whithersoever way He will. So I'm not worried about it. And 1Kings8 gives confirmation in verse 11. My focus is that the glory of the Lord has filled the house, this house. Of course, they're referring to Solomon's temple, but I want the Lord's presence to be in this place, especially in the temple, my body, that He will be pleased, and in this room, in this edifice. And in also verse 15, it says that the Lord hath His hand fulfilled. He did the work. With His hand fulfilled it. I need the Lord to do a work tonight and tomorrow into the wee hours of the morning, and He could do it. And in verse 20 it says, and the Lord hath performed His word that He spake. There are some things that the Lord has told us before, and only He can do the miracles. We can't do it on our own. And in verse 22, toward the last part of the verse, Solomon spread forth his hands toward heaven. Yeah, it's a position of surrender. And Solomon is praying for the temple, and we are surrendering this evening. Whatever situation is on your heart, as we're praying for people who are in a hospital or in urgent situations. I had a chance to communicate with my nephew down in Houston with a flood. So much is going on. And we're just asking the Lord to continue to bless everybody who have situations going on. And we thank the Lord that He's safe. And in verse 24, the Lord has fulfilled it with thine hand again. Only God can do the work that we're asking, and we can believe, trust, and hope that He is the way maker. Verse 56, blessed be the Lord that hath given rest unto His people. He will give rest while we're waiting praying and trusting. And in verse 61, let our heart therefore be perfect as we worship him in spirit and in truth. Amen. To walk in his statutes, to obey him, to keep his commandments. And then in verse 66, then we could be joyful and glad of heart for what the Lord have done for all of his servants. And we are his sheep and the people, right? The sheep of his pasture. And we follow him and we rejoice and we can worship him forever, forever. Why? Because he's a way maker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, our God. That is who he is this evening and forevermore. Let's prepare for worship as we trust in him. Have a wonderful evening in the Lord and rest in his promises. And